Hello, beautiful people. Today is 28th of April. My name is Sahil, and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Guys, you all might be knowing Malala Yousafzai, who was the winner of Nobel Peace Prize and shared it with Kailash Satyarthi. Guys, Malala says, with guns you can kill terrorists, with education you can kill terrorism. Guys, this particular statement brings the two most powerful yet opposing forces at face to face. On one hand, there is education, and on other hand, there is radicalism, terrorism, which always thrives on fear. So, guys, by having a right education, you can kill the radicalism, you can kill the terrorism, which is nothing but a notion of unawareness and non-education. Friends, according to me, education is empowerment, and empowerment is a slap on the face of radicalism and terrorism. Guys, this particular quote can be used into the paper number 2 in writing the answers of social justice, can also be used into your paper on essay, and can certainly be used when you are writing the forces to defeat the terrorism. So, guys, let's begin with today's analysis. Friends, this is a page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper. And if very briefly we see the first news item, then the Prime Minister has said that India needs a graded release from the lockdown so that the recovery could be maintained. Now, friends, if we see the overall pattern of COVID-19 presently in India, then we can see two kind of patterns. First of all, there are certain states such as Maharashtra where you can see that the number of cases are still rising and the recoveries are also not that much. In the green you can see the recoveries. Guys, relief from COVID depends on two factors. Number one, the recoveries should increase very rapidly, and number two, new cases should reduce very rapidly. So here you can see that the recoveries are not increasing and the new cases are also not decreasing. Therefore conditions are still critical. Now, if we see certain states into the below chart, we can see that the cases are either flattening up or even the cases are decreasing, and at the same time recoveries are also improving. So it meets both the conditions here, and we can see that the phase of relief might be starting for certain states. Now, guys, the rising number of cases, particularly into the Maharashtra, can also be attributed to more testing which is being carried in Maharashtra. So still picture is not that much clear. Now, guys, government had divided the districts into red zone, orange zone, green zone. Red zone are those where within last 14 days cases have been registered. Orange are those in which within last 14 days no cases have been registered, and green zone are those in which in last 28 days no case have been registered. So, guys, government's strategy is right now to convert red zone into the orange zone, and the existing orange zones should be converted into the green zone. So ultimate aim is to increase the number of green zones as large as possible. That's all here. Now we'll move to the next news. Now here's a news item on page number 1 where Reserve Bank of India had opened a liquidity tap for mutual funds. Now, friends, let's understand this entire issue, why this thing is being required. Now, guys, let's take the concepts very briefly. First of all, what are the mutual funds? Guys, it is nothing but a vehicle or a way to invest your money. Now, guys, just assume that he is Ramu and he wants to invest some money, but he don't know where he should invest money. He's not having any knowledge about the share market, about the stocks. Moreover, the money that he is having is also very less, and he knows that such money will also not be able to give the substantial returns. Now, guys, one arrangement could be there. There are the asset management companies. Now this asset management company will take this money from the Ramu and will take money from various other sources, and now they will have a large pool of money. And guys, now this asset management company is being run by professionals. Now these professionals know that where your money should be invested so that return is maximum but the risk is minimum. Guys, they can invest your money into the equity, that is into the share markets. They know which shares are performing well. Then there is the debt mutual fund. Guys, if you have taken a debt mutual fund, it means that your money is being invested in buying the government bond, or they are buying the corporate securities. Likewise, guys, bond is nothing but a kind of a loan, and on loan a fixed kind of interest rate comes. So in a way, debt instruments are more secure because there will be not that much fluctuations as they can be there into the share market. So if the money is invested into the government bond, then government is giving the fixed interest, and if it is invested into the corporate bond, then that particular company will pay the interest rate, and then that interest will be passed to the customers by the mutual fund company. Guys, when you are giving loan to a private company or other company, it is called as debenture, and more popularly when the loan is being given to the government, it is called as bond. And guys, then there could be the hybrid instrument where some part will be invested in equity, some part will be invested into the debt. Now, as all of you people had given money to this asset management company, now guys, what will happen? Asset management company in return will give you the units of mutual funds, which are called as net asset value. And now, friends, as your investments will accrue the interest or will return, then proportionately your NAV will also increase. And if there is a loss in your investment, then your NAV might decrease. And guys, when we talk about mutual fund, they are regulated by the Securities Exchange Board of India, SEBI. Now, friends, recently Franklin Templeton issue happened. What is Franklin Templeton? It is a US financial MNC, and it's running its mutual funds in India. Now, what Franklin Templeton has done, it had freezed six of mutual funds which were operating into the debt. Now, why they have frozen these six mutual funds? Because they are saying that now people are withdrawing back their money from these mutual funds, and obviously, as they are the debt instruments, there is some kind of a maturity only when the money could be withdrawn. But now, as people are pushing back, what could be done? Either Franklin Templeton give them money by their own pocket, which is not feasible if it is goes into the long term. Second is that they ask the company that you take back your debenture and give us back the money. But right now companies also not have that much of money, so therefore there could be a problem that entire mutual fund can go down. Moreover, if money will be withdrawn so rapidly, the value of your NAV will also go down, and even the people who are not withdrawing, they will also suffer. So for time being, they had said that our these six mutual funds are frozen. In this particular direction, Reserve Bank of India now had announced that they will be announcing 50,000 crore rupees. Now this money will not directly be given to the mutual funds. Exactly what will happen? Banks will be allowed that they can borrow up to 50,000 crore rupees from RBI on the repo agreement. So guys, in repo agreement, banks will keep the security at the RBI, and RBI will give the money, and that particular money banks will give to the mutual funds. And from this particular money, mutual fund companies can redeem the mutual funds of the people who want to withdraw their money and want to go back. So guys, all this thing is being done in order to maintain the sustainability of mutual funds. It will help in regaining the investors confidence into the market, and at the same time the NBFCs which are running the mutual funds will also not be facing the negative repercussions. So guys, this is all about this news. Now we'll move to the next item. Now friends, here's one more news item, that essential goods movement up, says government. Now friends, we don't need to see that how much percentage of goods are moving across the country, because these data will change. However, with respect to the prelims, we will see certain important facts here. First of all, what exactly these essential goods are. Now friends, there is Essential Commodities Act 1955 which has been made by the parliament. Under this particular act, Parliament can control the hoarding or black marketing of certain goods, because these are those goods which affect the normal day to day life of people. Now, guys, under the Essential Commodity Act, there is a schedule, and under this schedule, a large number of items such as drugs, fertilizer, pulses, edible oil, etc., has been kept. Now, the government has power that it can include new items also into this schedule whenever the need arises. And in this direction, government recently added hand sanitizers as well as masks into the Essential Commodities Act's schedule. And once things have been added under the schedule, government can regulate their prices as well as production. Now, earlier the production and prices were regulated, but their movement was restricted because the supply chain was not functioning. Now the railway frequency, the truck frequency has been increased, and government is saying that the movement is good. Now, friends, one more thing: to control the pandemic of COVID-19, government had established 11 empowered groups. And guys, these groups have been established under the section number 10 of the National Disaster Management Act. And friends, one out of this 11 group is also looking for the restoration of the logistic and supply chain of essential items. That is group number 5, which has also been mentioned into the particular news item. So don't remember that which group is looking to which, but just yes, that empowered group concept is there, and they could be made under the National Disaster Management Act. Friends, one more important thing: ministry responsible for Essential Commodities Act is Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Guys, ministries have been asked into the prelims exam, so please keep it into your mind. And now we'll move to the next news. Guys, here's a small news on page number 4, in which ITI had made a low cost aerosol box and a face shield. First of all, this task has been achieved by Odisha's Behrampur ITI. Now they have made two things. One is the aerosol box and other is the face shield. Now there could be a question as what are these aerosol boxes and what is their purpose? So they are nothing but a transparent box which are kept on the head of a COVID-19 patient when doctor starts the intubation process. Guys, what is this intubation process? When the people are suffering from COVID-19, they are needed to be kept on ventilator, and for that particular thing, a tube has to be inserted into their trachea, which will help into the ventilation. Now for this operation, you need to maintain a barrier between the doctor and the patient, so this particular glass box will be able to do that thing. Now this glass box also has an opening through which doctor can put the gloved hands and can operate the procedure. This thing will stop the infection from the patient to the doctor and will safeguard our health, frontline health workforce. And second is the face shield, which is worn by the doctor over the face. Now, guys, this particular initiative will also be shared between other ITIs, and the Behrampur ITI will be teaching other ITIs as how this particular technology could be used. Moreover, this entire thing is very cost effective also. Now, guys, with respect to ITIs, they come under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Now, with respect to the admission in ITI, after the secondary education, that is after the 10th class, the students can apply for an admission into an ITI, and they will be taught a vocational skill. For example, skill in carpentry, goldsmith, building management, technicians, etc. Now, guys, these ITIs are a very important part under Government of India's Skill India mission. Guys, on the editorial section, the first editorial is virtual yet open. This particular editorial is about the concept of virtual courts, which have been coming into the news very frequently. Now, guys, as the lockdown has been imposed and the social distancing norms are to be observed, it is but obvious that courts are not beyond that particular thing, and therefore courts are not able to carry the proceedings as they were carrying it earlier. Now, in this particular direction, one innovative mechanism has been found out by the Supreme Court, in which all the judicial proceedings are taking place through the camera, and it is called as virtual courts. Now the concept comes that these virtual courts are against the system of open courts. Now, first of all, what do we understand by open court is that a court should be open to the media as well as to the general public so that they can see the justice dispensation at their own hand. So guys, this thing is very much important to ensure the free and fair justice. And the concept of open court first of all came in 1966 in N. Sridhar Mirjkar case, where the Supreme Court ruled that this thing is desirable, and since then open court is going on. Moreover, guys, in 2018, into the Swapnil Tripathi case, Supreme Court again said that the live proceedings are desirable and they should be started. Guys, please remember both of these judgments. Very important if you write a question on GS2 on these lines. Now, what has happened? Lockdown and social distancing are going on, and therefore the courts are taking the proceedings into the virtual mean. And it is the only possible way right now, seeing the pandemic of COVID 19. But the lawyers are concerned with this thing, and they had made a plea into the Supreme Court and had asked that the proceedings in this way should be only for the temporary time and should not be the permanent mechanism. Why? Because there are certain problems. Problem number one is that these virtual proceedings are only available between the judges and between the lawyers of the litigants. Guys, lawyers are not allowed to share the passwords of these proceedings, and in that capacity the litigants even are not able to see the course of justice. Though there only one possible way is that the litigants they go to the lawyer's office and there together they see the proceedings. But as social distancing is going on and lockdown is going on, it is not possible that the litigants can go to the lawyer's office. So this particular thing might not be desirable into the long term as it is barring them to see the proceedings. So therefore it should be discontinued, or another viable option can be only one, that is coming with the concept of live proceedings which should be open to all, because only in that way the virtual justice could be a practical solution. And guys, this live proceeding which is open to all will not only further promote the concept of open courts, but rather will reduce the crowding into the court, due to which the social distancing in the long term can also be maintained. Moreover, apart from live proceeding, technology should also be utilized into the lower courts for the court management, for taking for the recording of evidence, as then they will not be required to come to the court. Moreover, guys, slot for the arguments could also be given onto the virtual platform, and all these things will reduce the time taken for the conversations, and the case disposal will also be improved. So guys, on the matter of judiciary, all these things are required right now. Guys, this was all. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, guys, this editorial discusses as how the disruptions are going throughout the world stage. Guys, one thing which COVID 19 has brought for sure is the uncertainty. And this uncertainty is with respect to the course, as how disease will go, with respect to vaccination, with respect to government policies, and the things which were earlier considered as abnormal are now becoming the normal. Therefore, it is being said that the abnormal will be the new normal, and these things will be bringing a lot of big changes, and the largest change will become coming on the societal front. And in this particular direction, our human values, our conduct, everything will be changing, and it will be giving a new kind of a society. Now, friends, till now, globalization was the major theme and the integration were the normal. But now the societies will tend to go inward, and the deglobalization kind of thing will be coming, and inward looking societies will become more of a normal. Moreover, we can see that on the international front, there are certain changes which are coming. For example, the multilateral institutions which were earlier the torch bearers are now losing their relevance. For example, we can take the example of United Nations Security Council and WHO. Both are being accused that they have failed. UNSC has not been able to give a particular response. WHO was not able to ring a warning signal when the COVID-19 was building up. And even with respect to WHO, USA had said that they will not be giving any funding. So the prestige of these institutions have declined considerably. Moreover, guys, then if we talk about economic front, then a large number of changes will be coming onto the economic front, and the most important is the decline of the incomes of the countries. Now, in this respect, if we talk about India, it has been said that India's growth rate will be into the trajectory of 1.5% to 2.8%, which is very less given the potential of India. Moreover, there will be the contraction of the jobs, and large number of people will be losing the job. And guys, in this particular background, one new evil force will be coming, that is the authoritarianism of the state. Now it can be seen that in the name of controlling the pandemic, state is organizing the mass surveillance, and by using that mass surveillance and various other tools, the liberties of the citizens will be snatched, and a concept of omnipotent state will come into the existence. Guys, recall how state is using the Disaster Management Act, Epidemic Diseases Act, and by both of these acts, various legislations of different degrees have been promulgated. And guys, this is a time when the sacrifice of liberty will just be seen as a normal, which was abnormal earlier. Now, guys, China factor will also come into the place. First of all, it is being said that the China was unable to control the crisis which was emerging in Wuhan, and though the first case came into the month of December, but they did not notify that for that particular thing till the second week of January, due to which the countries did not got the time to prepare. And guys, it is being said that now as China has recovered from the virus, what it is doing now, it is reaping the economic advantages out of pandemic. Now how it is reaping advantage? Number 1, China is showing the manufacturing capabilities to the world, and is exploiting the dominant position, and had become the largest producer and provider of masks, ventilators, and all these kind of stuffs. All these things will promote the geo-economic position of China. Secondly, now China is trying to show itself as a white swan. Now, guys, there are two concepts. One is white swan, one is black swan. Black swan is something which stands apart from the crowd. Now, guys, earlier China was black swan because the virus started from China. But now it is trying to become a white swan. It is showing itself to be a charitable country and one among all the countries who are readily providing the relief. And in this particular way, China is promoting its economic as well as diplomatic position. Now, after that, one more thing comes, that China is also trying to take over the majority of financial as well as big firms into the other countries, as the conditions are bad. Even People's Bank of China acquired 1% share into the HDFC Bank, taking the decline into the HDFC's share. In this particular direction, India had restricted the FDI coming from China. Moreover, guys, taking the cue, Australia as well as Germany had also restricted the investment coming from China. But the article suggests that merely restricting the FDI will not do the work. Rather, China has deep pockets and might exploit the RCEP and Belt and Road Initiative. So, certain efforts on this particular front should also be made so that China doesn't becomes a kind of a hegemony over the other nations. Now, one thing which has been very peculiar in this pandemic is the weak response of the West countries, particularly USA. And US happens to be the even worst impacted, which claimed itself to be the superpower at some point of time. Moreover, when we're talking about the West, even the European countries such as Germany and UK are also not coming forward because they have their own kind of crisis. Now, if we move towards the West Asia, then it is also facing difficult times due to the oil price decline. And guys, West Asia always was an important concern for India. as large diaspora community is there and the region sends the large number of remittances to India. But now India's position is weak and a lot of these people are facing unemployment. And at the same time, China is showing the power and might be able to form deep relations with the West Asia when India is hurt. So, guys, this is actually a time which is going to be very much tough. And as all these abnormal things are coming, so abnormal will be becoming the new normal. So, guys, this was all about this article. Now we'll move to the next. Friends, in this particular editorial, the need for India's leadership role has been emphasized. Now, friends, many a time we have talked that a change is coming and nobody knows that what will be the coming world order. Nothing is known that what will be the course of civilization, nothing is known that what will be the course of the societies. Now, in this particular context, it has been suggested that it is not the time that India can relax or can join the League of the Nations, which are still figuring out that what will be the course of time. Rather, this is the time that India should reclaim its position into the world and show that what India is capable of. And guys, this particular thing depends on certain factors. The first factor in this particular direction is the quality of administration and how it responds to the miseries of people who are impacted. Then on second number, it is the quality of leadership, as how the leaders are able to make a bridge with the people so that miseries are minimized. Third, we need to see that what is the status of healthcare, because that is the most urgent requirement, whether the systems are able to absorb the population or not. And fourthly, we need to see that how social fabric of India will be able to respond, whether the people will be fighting over the divides or will be coming together to give a dedicated response. So, guys, these four are the most important factors which will determine whether India will be coming out as a leader or not. However, when we see what exactly is happening on the ground, then there is altogether a different story. It has been seen that the lockdown was necessary, but government has failed to anticipate that what will be the cost as well as repercussions of the lockdown and how people will be affected. And this particular failure could be reflected into the migrant crisis, where it has been shown that the migrants have no regard for the government and they don't consider government to be competent to provide any kind of social security net to these people. Rather, only net available to them is their extended family, to whom these people wanted to reach as early as possible. Moreover, this thing has again it's shown the fault lines into the India. Two types of India have been exposed. One India is Bharat, where the social distancing is still a luxury, wherever the other is India, who is confined into their closed spaces. And in all this background, a massive disorder is prevailing. We can see the examples of things occurring into the Bandra, Mumbai, where large number of migrants assembled in order to go back to the home, and these stories are there throughout the country. Therefore, this is a time that crucial investments are needed to be made into the system so that India can re emerge from the crisis. Now, the first investment will come on the health front, where the largest section impacted, that is the poor one, they don't have any facility to access the health. So, therefore, the health system should be perfected, and in this direction, universal health care should be extended to all and each individual. Then, secondly, the crucial investments are needed to be made onto the economic fronts, as large number of people will either be losing their employment or will be sunking down into the poverty. Therefore, we need a new series of welfare mechanisms due to which the miseries could be mitigated. Now, guys, though health and economic interventions are onto the domestic front, India does not needs to stick only to the domestic. Rather, we need to go onto the international scenario also, where all type of collaborations, for example, regional, bilateral, as well as multilateral collaboration are needed to be made. Moreover, guys, right now a kind of a race is going on where the countries are finding the cure and vaccine for the COVID-19. It is high time that India should also join this race and show the capabilities to the world. For time being, there are two things which are needed to be done. One is the R&D for the new medicines, and secondly, India is the largest producer of the generic drugs into the world and should help the countries with respect to the supply of drugs, though that is also a reality that our supply of drugs depends on the China, because we import the major ingredients to make the drug from the China, which are called as active pharmaceutical ingredients. Though that should not be the concern in not giving the drugs to the other countries. Rather, a open arm should be kept, and in this thing, India should show that it is a leader and reclaim the position on the world stage. Now, guys, there are large speculations that the coming world order, whether it will be the US centric or China centric, though that is still we need to see, but it is a well suited time that India can provide that how it can be a viable alternative to control the global issues. So, guys, this was all about this article. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, friends, here's a news item on page number 8, which suggests that India is right now the among top 3 military spenders into the world. So, friends, recently a report has been released by Stockholm International Peace Research Institution, and the name of the report is Trends in World Military Expenditure 2019. And according to this particular report, the largest military spenders are USA, China, and on the third number it is India. So, guys, according to the report, India is increasing 2.4% of its GDP onto the defense expenditure. And guys, the major reason given for India's such large expenditure is the growing rivalry with Pakistan and growing tensions with Pakistan, due to which India is building up the stockpile of military arsenal. Now, guys, when we are talking that India is spending 2.4% of its GDP, then there are certain other points which we should also note. Though, into the absolute number, we have increased our spending, but when we consider as a part of a GDP, it has declined. Guys, in 2010, India was spending around 2.7% of GDP, but right now in 2019, India has spent 2.4% of GDP. And this 2.4 is larger than the 2010's data if we compare the absolute numbers. So, guys, this was all provided here. Sometimes, if you are writing some questions, you could use these data. And moreover, please remember the name of the report, because reports have been asked into the UPSC exam many number of times. So, guys, this was all about here. This now we'll move to the next news. Now, guys, here's a news on page number 10. The CSR is allowing the firm to use its technology, and the fees which CSIR collects will not be collected immediately and it will be deferred. Now, friends, into the aftermath of COVID 19, CSIR has developed various types of COVID 19 fighting technologies. For example, it had developed a paper strip based test to detect the virus. We'll discuss about this thing. Then they have made various kinds of sanitizers, a prefabricated makeshift hospital. Guys, this type of hospitals can be erected very rapidly, and within matter of days the hospitals will go functional. The same kind of makeshift fabricated hospitals have been used by China to make hospitals in 7 8 days. Then they had also 3D printed a ventilator has been made by 3D printing. Then uh, and moreover, apart from this also, they are also developing the antibody test, which will be cheap and could be quickly available. So, guys, these are all the technologies which have been perfected by the CSIR, and now it is saying that all these things could be used by the firms, and the fees which they were supposed to give, they can pay it afterwards. Now, guys, after this thing, if we do the analysis, first of all, what exactly is CSIR? So CSI stands for Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Now, friends, CSIR is an autonomous body. It means that it is not particularly attached to any government department. However, CSIR is funded by the Department of Science and Technology. So please keep remember this thing into your mind. Now, it works and provides the innovative mechanisms with respect to the aerospace engineering, structural engineering, ocean sciences, etc., and has played an important role from time to time into the health technologies also. Now, guys, one particular thing we will discuss here, that is paper strip based test. Guys, this test has been named as Feluda by the CSIR, and guys, it works onto the gene editing technology. Now friends, this gene editing technology is called as CRISPR, and here they use a specific type of protein, and that protein is called as Cas9. Now this protein works as a molecular scissor. What it can do, it can identify the genomic sequence of novel coronavirus into the sample of suspected individuals. So guys, if I take the sample of a person, into that sample it can identify that which particular strand is belonging to the COVID-19. So in that particular thing, the result of the test could come in very few minutes, whereas their RT-PCR test takes various hours for the test to arrive. And guys, one more thing, we had discussed 2 days back that it has been suggested that the rapid antibody test should not be conducted because the kits which were imported from China, they were faulty. Now in this direction, antibody test indigenous are also being perfected by the CSIR. So guys, please remember all these tidbits information for your prelims exam. Now, friends, here is one more new news where the two tribes have been mentioned, that is Chakmas and Hejongs. Guys, these Chakmas and Hejongs are the tribes which predominantly migrated in India from the Bangladesh. Now, friends, Chakmas are predominantly Buddhist, whereas Hejongs are predominantly Hindus. However, their customs and traditions are different from the mainstream Buddhist and Hindus. Now, guys, both the tribals, that is Chakmas and Hejongs, are scattered throughout the northeast, but their large population is found into the region of Arunachal Pradesh. Now, if we look to the news item, we can see that the Chakmas and Hejongs are displaced in 1960 by the violence, and a dam in erstwhile East Pakistan were settled in parts of Arunachal Pradesh. Now, guys, first of all, why they relocated to India? Here a name of the dam has been mentioned. What dam they are talking about? They are talking about the Kaptai Dam, and this dam has been built into the Bangladesh, and because of the dam, the large number of villages submerged. Due to this thing, the Chakmas and Hejongs came to India. Now, guys, this Kaptai Dam is built on the Karnfuli River. So please remember, these things could be indirectly helpful into the exam. So all these Chakmas and Hejongs, they were given the ration cards earlier, but their ration cards have been snatched by the governments and the activist, right-wing activist groups. Therefore, they are not able to get the subsidized food grains and are bearing the consequences of that particular thing. Now, article mentions that their fundamental right under article number 21, that is right to food, is getting violated. So intervention is needed right now. So guys, this was about the Chakmas and Hejongs. Now, guys, here is one more news onto the page number 14 where United Nation has warned of a human right disaster. Guys, please remember this thing for your essay as well as GS number 2. Guys, there is nothing substantial into the news, but if you are paying attention to the editorial discussions, I had even today told that into the name of preventing the COVID-19, countries are taking the excessive powers, and in the name of these powers and in the name of response, a large number of human rights are being violated. You can take the example of police brutalities, you can take the example of forced lockdowns, denial of basic rights to the people. So all these kind of things are happening, and according to the United Nations Human Rights Council, that is UNHRC, it has been said that emergency powers are being taken by the countries, and such kind of pattern should be avoided. Moreover, when we see the human miseries, the basic necessities of life such as food, shelter are not, they are not being affordable by the large chunk of population. Moreover, there are huge population which have lost their livelihood, and now they are forced to live into the pathetic conditions. So this is nothing but a kind of a human right disaster which is occurring at the present context of time. So guys, the world leaders as well as governments should come together and should avoid thus that this kind of thing should not happen. Moreover, when the thing comes that the people also have right to elect their government, and when they are exercising the right to elect, they should keep all these consideration into the mind. So this was all about this particular news. However, just passing reference you can give of this thing into the exam. So guys, this was all about today's newspaper discussion. I hope you are liking my videos. Please do subscribe to channel and please hit the like button. Thank you so much.